It was early morning in the backwoods of southern Alabama, when the thunder of engines rolled through the misty pines. The road reapers MC were heading home from a charity ride, mud-splattered, exhausted, and silent after 3 long days delivering supplies to flood-hit families. These men were known as outlaws by most, but anyone who really knew them understood they carried a code. Protect the innocent. Stand for what's right, no matter the cost. Among them rode their president, Jack Steele Lawson, a man built from the hard road to the South, his beard streaked with gray, his eyes steady and kind. Beside him was a big-hearted rider named Colton, a local Alabama boy who'd grown up hunting and working cattle before joining the club. The air was heavy with rain and the smell of pine and mud. As they turned down an old logging road cutting through the forest, the lead rider braked suddenly. There, right in the middle of the muddy path, stood a baby elephant. Small, frightened, trumpeting desperately, its eyes wide with fear. The reapers froze, thinking for a moment they were seeing things, an elephant here in the deep woods of Alabama. Then they noticed a faint outline of a broken trailer nearby, its metal gate twisted in tracks leading into the trees. Someone had been transporting animals illegally through the floodplain. The calf wasn't lost. It was begging for help. It swung its tiny trunk toward the forest, crying out over and over, turning back as if pleading for the bikers to follow. Steele was the first to cut his engine. "Something's wrong," he said quietly. "She's trying to show us something." The men followed on foot, sloshing through the soaked earth. The baby led them down a slope toward a ravine where the rainwater had turned the ground to thick sludge. There, half buried in mud, lay a full-grown female elephant. She was alive but weak, her eyes half shut, her body trembling. A crude snare was wrapped around her leg, steel wire cutting deep into her flesh. She had likely escaped the traffickers and stumbled into the pit while trying to protect her calf. Steele knelt beside her, his boots sinking into the mud. "She's pregnant," he said softly, his voice breaking. The men looked closer. He was right. The mother was heavy with another calf, her sides rising and falling in shallow, painful breaths. The baby elephant trumpeted again, circling its mother helplessly, trying to nudge her awake. The bikers had seen plenty of pain in their lives: wars, violence, addiction, betrayal. But this was different. This was pure innocence fighting to survive. Steele turned to his brothers. "We can't leave her here," he said. "We get her out, no matter what it takes." They didn't have rescue equipment, just their bikes, ropes, and chains. But they had something stronger: loyalty, grit, and the kind of heart that doesn't walk away when someone's suffering. They tied their tow chains together, looped them around a sturdy pine tree, and hooked the other end around the elephant's shoulders, careful not to hurt her. The rain kept falling, turning the pit into a swamp. Every time she tried to move, she slid deeper, and the baby screamed. The reapers worked for hours. Mud covered them from head to toe. They dug trenches, pulled ropes until their arms shook, and revved their Harleys to use their engines as anchors. The roar of the bikes echoed through the forest, blending with the cries of the elephants. At times, it seemed hopeless, but no one quit. Finally, as the sun began to break through the clouds, the mother's front legs found solid ground. "Now!" Steele shouted. The engines roared together. The mud churned. and with one last desperate push, the great elephant rose from pit. She stumbled, shaking, covered in mud but alive. The baby ran to her, pressing its head against her trunk. The sound that followed wasn't just a cry. It was gratitude, deep and ancient. The men stood there, panting, covered in muck. Then a sound cracked through the air, a gunshot, sharp and close. Steele's eyes narrowed. "Poachers," he said. "They're coming back for her." From the tree line, figures appeared. 3 men with rifles, wearing camouflage and muddy boots. They froze when they saw the road reapers standing between them and the elephants. The bikers didn't move. They stood shoulder to shoulder, silent, their leather cuts soaked but their eyes burning. Steele stepped forward, his voice calm but full of warning. "You're done here. You take one more step, and you'll wish you hadn't." The poachers hesitated. These weren't rangers or cops. They were bikers, big and scarred and fearless. The leader spat on the ground. "Ain't your business, old man." Colton revved his Harley once, the sound ripping through the forest like thunder. "It is now." The men stood off for what felt like forever. Then, maybe it was a look in Steele's eyes or the sight of a dozen engines lying behind him, but the poachers backed off, disappearing into the woods. The bikers didn't chase them. They stayed with the elephants. The mother was weak, bleeding from her leg. Steele pulled out a small med kit from his stool bag and cleaned the wound as best he could. Colton spoke softly, calming the animals, his voice steady in the rain. They led the pair through the trees toward higher ground where the mud thinned and the forest opened into a field. The mother turned once before leaving, her massive head lowering slightly as if bowing to them. The baby pressed close to her side, looking back one last time. Then they vanished into the tall grass, free again. The road reapers stood in silence, watching until the forest swallowed them. Steele wiped the mud from his hands. "We did something good today," he said quietly. Colton nodded. "Guess not all heroes wear badges." They mounted their bikes, engines rumbling to life again. The rain had stopped. The road glistened with puddles, and somewhere in the distance, a low rumble, like an elephant's call, echoed faintly through the woods. Later, word spread across the county. Local ranchers swore they'd seen 2 elephants moving near the floodplain, one small, one large, always together, never harming a thing. And when riders passed through those woods, the animals never ran. They just watched, calm and unafraid, as if they knew the sound of Harley engines meant safety, not danger. The story spread like wildfire. No one ever proved it, but those who knew the road reapers didn't need proof. They knew what kind of men those bikers were, rough on the outside, loyal to the bone, and bound by a code the world rarely understood. Some said the elephants came from a traveling zoo. Some said they were never seen again. But among the reapers, the memory lived on as one of those rare moments that reminded them why they rode, to stand for something pure in a world that too often forgot what kindness looked like. If you believe bikers can be heroes too, share this story.